Today on Homeworthy, we're taking you into the mid-century modern home of designer Lonnie Grover. The owner of Process Home, Lonnie has curated his own residence with unique found objects and an extensive art collection that feels sophisticated yet welcoming. The crown jewel of the property is the outdoor space that you can see from every room, landscaped with huge trees and lush boxwoods. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. By clicking the join button below, you not only support the production of these videos, you also gain access to exclusive content just for members. And today, members will get a look inside Lonnie's curated and serene primary bedroom that feels right out of a resort. Join today to see more of the homes you love.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Lonnie Grover and this is my home in Dallas, Texas. Come on in. Here we are in the entry. I purchased this home in 2021. I've done multiple renovations on it. One thing I like about this home and doing the multiple renovations is that I wanted to keep the home and be intentional with it. The people that lived here before lived here for 30 years, and it was important for us to keep the integrity. And so keeping the staircase and the floors and the parquet was really important. Okay, this is one of my favorite pieces of art that we own. This is a David Shrigley piece. My husband actually bought it for me 2 years ago, and I was like, what a perfect piece for an entry. I also selected this chest here. This has actually been in every entry since I've lived in Dallas, moving back from New York. This is a Theodore Alexander piece. So the floors are actually the original floors to the home. A lot of people have given me mixed reviews at like ripping them out, but I just love the integrity. I love the aged look. I've lived in New York. I've traveled quite a bit, and for me, I like a perfect home, but I love character. All right, let me take you up the stairs so I can show you what renovations we've done to the house since we purchased it in 2021. One thing that I did when we purchased this home is I left the rooms named what they were on the actual phone landline system. And so the first room that I'm gonna show you is going to be the parlor. We spend a ton of time in this room. I love the way that you can actually see the landscaping and see the grounds, and it kind of brings the indoor-outdoor in. This is one of my favorite pieces here in this room. This was actually my husband's mother's chest. She traveled with this from country to country. She actually lived in Australia, and maybe 5 years ago they shipped it to us. And inside here she has all her belongings and things that were important to her, and this has just been a staple in all of our homes. These chairs actually were purchased for my store that I own, which is Found Pieces, and they were actually made for the Czech embassy, the style is. And I bought them and they were for the store, but I ended up loving them so much that I kept them part of my collection. In this room as well, when we first bought it, they had huge bookshelves and the room kind of felt closed in, and I ripped all of it out. And we also put this bar in, which was kind of opened the room and anchored it. What's really neat about this house is that there's a bunch of rooms. It's not the open concept. People love this room. The ability to entertain in the house and have everyone in one room is so cool, which is why I try to do as many chairs in a room as I can. If you'll see, I love chairs. There's a chair everywhere. I love sofas, but some people don't want to sit next to each other. So one thing I like to do when accessorizing a home, and I've done it here in my house and you'll see that, is that I love to actually use my silver pieces. I love to have them out so that you can see them. And when it comes to entertaining, I pull them off the shelf, I fill them with limes, I fill them with orchids, anything we need, we use them. I'm gonna take you into my office here. This room has become important to me because it kind of separates the ends of the home. Everything in this room is something that I've owned for years. I've lived in 12 houses since I've lived in Dallas. This is the longest I've lived in a home, which is 3 years. Everything in here has actually been in a home that we lived in. This desk is one of my most important pieces. It's kind of been with me through everything and from starting being in interior design. So the chair and the sofa are actually J. Robert Scott, which is the most comfortable furniture you can purchase. I see everything in this room as an object. These pillows were given to me by a client there, Hunt Sloan. One of my favorite pillows that's been with me through all my homes. It's Hermes. I love it. The concrete coffee table, it's probably one of the heaviest things I own, but it's worked in every single study I've had. Everyone knows that I love found objects, and you'll see that here on the bookshelf. And again, silver. I love to mix it throughout the home, no matter what it's for. It just always looks polished when you have it out and curated. So I actually have purchased 90% of my collection through a gallery in New York City, Jim Kempner. He's kind of been who we've used to curate our collection. I also believe in supporting, local small artists. My niece actually went to Parsons, and that's something that we're working on at Process right now, is creating an art division of up-and-coming artists. So when we bought the home was actually set up, and this was the formal living room. And I kind of just I set it up as a formal living room multiple times, and it never really felt like a formal living room. So I decided to bring the dining table in here so that the kitchen, we kind of serve off of it, and also to just see prepping. I love when you have a dinner party to have the chef be part of the party. One thing that I love to do is when I'm traveling is to visit home decor stores and pick up pieces. I actually got these at Gorsuch in Colorado, and I just love the wood detail with the nickel. The fireplace was here, and I just left it. When we bought the home, this was actually closed off. I'm gonna kind of walk you through the kitchen. I kind of would consider it one big room, which is kind of how I have it decorated. So this was actually all closed off. It was a big white wall, and on the back side was the cabinetry. When we bought the home, there was wallpaper on the walls and ceiling, and I'm talking 30 years worth of paper. It took so long to get it off. We actually raised the vent-a-hood in here. We did all new lighting, all new countertops, and all new cabinetry. Again, you're gonna see my home is full of white oak throughout. It's the wood species I love. The marble, again, most people don't like marble. I love it, and I love that you can have the character. There's also a piece of art that's really important to me, and it's so fun. A client actually gave it to me, and what's fun about it is my husband's in the oil and gas business, and this is the only thing in the home that would refer back to that, but it references Midland, where he's from, and I just absolutely love it. It's a John Flaming piece. I actually don't personally cook, but I do have someone that cooks for us. Joe's part of our family, and this is actually the menu for the week. Today we're actually skipping because I didn't know how long filming was gonna take, but tomorrow we have the grilled red snapper with the cilantro lime rice, squash, and zucchini salad. So I'm really big on a seated dinner. I'm not a big buffet kind of guy. I do them, but I'm more, if I can't seat everyone, then we're gonna figure out how to rent a table and decorate it and make it work. We do have dinner parties often. The first year and a half, we sat in this kitchen and had all of our breakfasts here, and I was trying to figure out what's a way that we could have an intimate setting when eating, because this was Joe cooking and us having dinner. So when we bought the house, and I'll show you now, I'll take you to where the original dining room actually was, which I've recently put in a banquette via Process Home, and redid all the cabinetry and decided to put a bar in there. So in this room, which now we spend 90% of our time in, we have a 14-year-old son. He's getting ready to go to boarding school, so I did this room just in time for him to leave. But this is where we eat. This is where we spend all of our time. This is where, if I'm gonna make a floral arrangement or I wanna be away from everyone when in the kitchen, this is where I come. I put this cabinetry in to hold my vases, my silver, different objects like that. I made sure it was deep enough so that we could really store it properly. Again, most people store their silver in a silver closet, but I put mine out frequent enough that it kind of maintains the silver without having to be constantly polished. In the mornings, usually, this is where I have my breakfast, which was important to me because every meal I was having in this home was at the kitchen island and I couldn't do it anymore. So this was the original dining room, and it always felt like a room that wasn't used in the home, and it used to have doors on it and we would close it all the time, and it became a storage room, basically. So I was actually getting ready to have a client's son's engagement party this year, and that's when I did the renovation for this room, and I was like, I need a room that I could set up a bar or a way to entertain with people coming through the home and not just stopping in that front room for a drink. And so we put this in, and it's worked perfectly to kind of clear the table out and put in a full bar here. This is one of my favorite pieces in the home. People always ask, what is this? What is this for? And it was actually an old oriental screen that I decided to just put on the wall. It's been in several homes we've had, and we've always just utilized it as a piece of art. So this would be a considered mid-century modern. I actually found this at a consignment store here in Dallas, and I've just really loved it. And it actually sat in storage for 2 years before I utilized it. These three pieces of art here are actually, I love to point out things that I call my husband's before me, but these are three old sacks that were painted, and he has had these in his office, and it's always ended up in a hallway, but somehow it ended up in this room this time, but it wasn't a battle. Well, I kind of think it works and it flows well. This table, again, this was an impulse purchase. This banquette was built by Process Home, which is my interior design studio here in Dallas. And we spend 90% of our time as a family in here. I would consider this to be our formal living room. I try to pull people into this room as much as I can. Again, everyone wants to stop in a kitchen or at a bar, which is why I put this in here. This room, to me, is one of my favorite rooms. I love the light in it. I love the skylight. I was originally going to take the skylight out and replace it with something different. And again, I think it's been great for us. I love that you see all of the grounds. You kind of bring the outside in, and there's something free about it. The ceiling heights, the skylight that goes the entire length of the room. And this was actually the dining room when we bought the house. And I was like, this makes no sense. This doesn't work for the way we live, and everyone lives differently. You'll notice that each piece feels unique, and that's because I treat everything I own as a collection. That's kind of where the name Process came from for the interior design studio. A home's a process, the construction's a process, everything about a home is a process. So some of these pieces I actually have owned for years without touching them. Some have been reupholstered, and some have been added and slightly modified. Again, you'll see throughout my home, it's found pieces. Most people would not have a random Hermes plate in here, but it's, again, I love to mix pieces throughout the home that just kind of work and are different. So these stools were actually bought at an auction house in Pennsylvania. These actually went into the store originally, and again, I just could not find myself parting with them, so I made them part of my personal collection. Back to when we purchased this home and this was the dining room. Again, I've tried different scenarios in every room, and I made this room, which has been the biggest process in the home, is how am I gonna live in this room and how am I gonna make it comfortable? Again, we used to have the dining room there, which was just never felt intimate. I love that we've mixed different textiles in here. I love the mohair moving into the velvet. I love the lacquered wood. The sconces in the home were one of the original items that I kept, and it was really important to me, and I've fought for these to stay. We've rewired them. And when I bought the home, they had a different shade on them, and when we were in the basement, I came across boxes of these actual lampshades that she originally had on the sconces, and I put them back on and removed the white ones. This piece, what I see in this piece, which I think is so cool, is it's called End of the 21st Century, and it makes me think of AI and the humans, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. This is also one of my favorite items I own. I actually bought this off the RealReal probably 6 years ago. It's a Ralph Lauren pharmacy lamp, and I'm just absolutely obsessed with it. It's nickel. This is actually one of my husband and I's favorite pieces we agreed upon. It's a Richard Diebenkorn, again, Jim Kempner in New York, who has worked on our art collection for us, is steered us in this direction. This room was considered the sunroom. We use this room a lot. Here, one of my favorite pieces is this Allen Knight lucite table. It's kind of become a fixture here, and we love it. I kind of love that you see through it and you are able to, it's not distracting from what we love, which is the view. So these chairs actually, this is one of those objects that's a process home. My husband's like, why don't we put new leather on it? Why don't we put new leather on it? But I love the integrity. Again, it was a process. This was over time. And I just absolutely love these chairs. I love the original woodwork on them, the nail heads, which what I consider using a nail head properly. Again, Herman Miller, very comfortable. I actually bought this chair at an auction again, and it's been one of my favorite pieces. This rug has been recycled so many times. It was the original entry rug for our home. This, and I don't know if you noticed on the table in my formal living room, but you'll see we have a lot of glass objects around. We had a tabletop glass company for quite some time, and COVID kind of affected that, but you'll notice the different colored glass around the home was a part of Process Home. Again, mixing the silver pieces in here. I'm a huge Frank Sinatra guy, which is the reason this book's on top, and then we go straight to Chuck Close. So, two of the best. They weren't as manicured as they are now, and it was important to me that we cleaned that up, because as the home's beautiful, the entire rear of the home is glass. So every room you look out of, you're seeing the backyard. And so that was one of the most important things for me, was the grounds. We really wanted something. Before we moved into this home, we had built a home for 2.5 years. And when this came on the market, we sold our house immediately and moved here, and people thought we were crazy because we had brand new construction with every single thing we wanted. But I wanted something that felt like home. I wanted rooms, I wanted that New York feeling, and we wanted to have grounds, we wanted to have space. We have 4 dogs. We have a Shih Tzu, a toy poodle, a golden doodle, and a Bernedoodle. Next, I'm gonna take you into one of my favorite rooms, and when we talk about space planning and how to come up with the space and doing a remodel to where it feels intentional, this was where it happened. So this originally, when you walked up these steps, this was walled off, and there was a little cove for a piece of art. And you would take a right and go down this hallway to what was an office. And this home was missing a family room where you can hang out and have your books and have everything you need. So I opened this up, but behind this wall was originally the laundry room. So you can tell that probably was a very small laundry room for a home of this size. So we opened this up, which now allowed light from one end to the other of the home, which was really important to me. As we walked down the hallway here, so when I met my husband, he had all these New Yorker cartoons, and I was like, what are we gonna do with these? So one year for his birthday, I actually said, pick out your favorite ones and we're going to frame them. This is my favorite here. I married you for your money, Leonard. Where is it? I'll take you in here. We have 4 dogs, and one thing that was so important to me is we let our dogs in and out, and I don't want synthetic grass, so having the ability to have the runners on top of the carpet was something that would alleviate the stress of me being type A and not wanting mud all over the carpets. In this room, originally, when we started out, the TV was actually where the iceberg is, and it never felt comfortable. We were like, this isn't right. So we ended up moving the TV above the fireplace. We took the shelves and kind of repositioned them, and we put these white oak shelves in. I love to read, but my husband's the big reader in the house. He has read all these books. The Eames chairs in this room are fun for me. It was kind of my first purchase with Jeff. We wanted to have something that kind of shared our personality, but was also the most comfortable reading chair you can buy, and this is it. These lamps are one of my favorite pieces that I own. It's a pair of lamps, and they were actually bought in New York City from an interior designer. This is where we hang out. It's so comfortable in here, and I didn't want anything perfect. I wanted nothing to feel like it was super positioned. I don't even have draperies in this room because I just love the light in the home. This was actually bought in Vail. My husband actually purchased this. It was actually a piece that we kind of felt, it used to kind of be in the front of the house. It's moved throughout. It's called Fallen Angel, and we bought it from a gallery in Vail, Colorado. This piece was actually one of my favorites. And again, I've told you I lived in 12 homes. And so think 12 moves and having to move every single piece in this home, and kudos to the movers, but this was the only piece that we've actually had damaged before and restored. So I'm sure you can't tell where the damage was, but I just love it because all the waves were completely ripped out. It fell, and we've literally restored it to the way it was. The pillows you'll see in here was when Virgil did his Off-White collection, and I really wanted to have some pieces of the home collection, so I went with the pillows and some throw blanket. When we bought the house, the parquet floors were really important for me to keep, and we discussed bringing them through, and we couldn't really do it because we couldn't get the same finish and the same character that we had before. So I chose carpet, and I love it because it feels homey everywhere we're at. It makes you want to take your shoes off and hang out. When we first toured the home and I saw the grounds, it kind of sold me. You don't get land like this in Dallas, and to be able to entertain the way that I entertain, which is over the top, I was able to do that here. I'm able to tent, I'm able to bring in things I want, caterers, all that. So here to the right, we have what I consider the front yard, where we let our dogs out and they kind of run all the time. Up here as well, this is kind of an area you don't get this land, and we just love the trees, and you don't feel like you're in Dallas, but we are on one of the busiest streets in Dallas, but you would never even know it. So when we bought the house, it was actually brown, and we painted everything white, the go-to. We painted all of the windows black. And we began to, what I would call, nurture the property back to its original state. So when we bought it, things were severely overgrown, and we really took our time and figured out what we wanted to keep, what was not going to work, what needed to happen. And so the first thing we started with was the trees. There's over 75 trees on this property, and we have manicured them, tied them and done everything to preserve them and to make them healthy. One thing that I love about this house is the ability to drive in and out, turn around. If you have a party, valet's so easy. You can easily have it. Again, most homes don't have a true kitchen door anymore, is what I call it. And that's the door that everyone goes in and out of here and it's constantly used. We have, again, preserved as much as we can. The sphere boxwoods are new. We've kind of brought them in. All the hollies you see on the property were restored. We've fertilized them. We've done everything we can to bring them back to health. When we bought the house, there was a huge tree here, and we came back from a summer trip and it was laying over the driveway. So we haven't replaced this yet. One thing I love about this home is the front elevation. It's just super mid-century. You'll see here also the doors. I kept the green, which was the original door color. Again, my whole mission and process on this home was to restore it to its integrity and not change too much. I like that it's not perfect. I love that some things aren't level, some things aren't even. That's what I love about this home. So now we're here in the backyard. This was one of the most important things to me, was manicuring the grounds. I wanted to be able to, again, preserve what was here, not add a bunch or take away. I've just cleaned up. So when we bought the house, we put in these Luder's steps, which we really love. It works with the brick, which was original. Here's the patio that we were on earlier, which is off of the primary bedroom. This is actually one of my favorite trees on the property. This is the original Japanese maple. And if you go back and look at photos of this home, this Japanese maple has been here forever. Maintaining the terrace steps were super important for me. I love the width of them. Again, we have 4 dogs, so what a magical property to have them on. These chairs the bubble chairs have been with us at every property, and we utilize them here. This is a conversation area. Jeff and I sit out here quite a bit and enjoy ourselves. These chairs actually do really well with the weather. They hold up, and again, Process Home made the cushions for them. You can see here, this tree is one of our favorites. We have every year for Christmas, this is kind of where we wrap the Christmas lights on it, and people call us and they're like, oh, we can see it from Northwest Highway, which is so fun because we go all the way up with the lights. So when we were touring this home, one thing that I was really excited about was the ability to have a guest home. Pool house, you could say. So it's about 1,400 square feet. It has a bedroom, a kitchen, a bar, 2 living areas. And I just really sold me on the house, having that ability to have basically 2 homes. The property here, the hydrangeas you see here that are planted are the original hydrangeas that were actually on the property when we bought it. We have redone the walkway. We brought in rock as I wanted to keep natural materials with the property. I didn't want anything that felt too new or felt, too polished. So it's funny because I meet people and I tell them where I live and they're like, oh wow, I love that house. I actually used to go there and jump off. What you'll see here, this stoop was actually the original stoop for the pool. We've redone the pool, but we kept the shape. It used to have decking all the way around it. Again, with my East Coast exposure and the Hamptons and all that, I wanted grass around the pool. I thought it was intimate and I love the way it lives. And so that's what we did here. We brought in, we cleaned it all out, we put in a new pool, but we kept the shape. and we planted all the globe boxwoods everywhere. Now I'll show you the pool house. I'm actually currently renovating the kitchen, so you're not going to be able to see that, but I will show you the living areas. So now we're in the pool house. One thing that I think is so cool, and everyone that comes here talks about them. So the street we live on has 4 houses on it, and one of the homes about a year and a half ago went up for sale, and they had a estate sale, and I went and I actually purchased these chairs. Tom Landry, who was the Dallas Cowboys football coach for a long period of time, these were his wife's chairs in her sunroom, and I purchased them and I've kept them in their original condition. I've had them cleaned, but the height is perfect for basically a game table. This is kind of the living area that we've done. Again, this table is Process Home. It's a Herman Miller surfboard table. Everything you see in here we've collected over time and we've brought from home to home. The table base in here was the original. I actually purchased this from the owners. Also, now that I'm looking out, I wanted to recognize the fact that when we bought this house too, we bought the furniture around the pool, which was original brown Jordan, and we've kept it and maintained it, again, Process Home. So we're actually currently renovating the bar and the kitchen, but I do want to show you this wall just because it gives you kind of a sneak peek of what was originally here and what I have kept. This chandelier, this Murano chandelier, is important to me. One of my best friends, Dallas, gave it to me, and it was in homes that she had, and it went in a home that we lived in Highland Park here, and right before they were going to tear the house down, a day before it, we actually went in the home and was able to take this out. And so I put it down here in the pool house because every day I get to look down and I see it lit up and I love it. What's so great about having this pool house is when we have people over, let's say for swimming or whatever, cocktails sometimes, we actually don't end up even going in the home. We actually all hang out here, which is so fun. What makes a house a home to me is making your rooms intentional and living in them the way you would. Make it a happy place, make it a process, don't just fill it full of stuff.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.